just arriving at the clinic this morning, and with Easter fast approaching, on the drive in I've been thinking about some of the challenges that our children might face around Easter. Things like challenges with Easter egg hunts, chocolate, overeating. So I thought I'd explore the top 5 challenges children might face at Easter from a childhood trauma perspective. I've just arrived at the clinic. I am a little late this morning. It's 8:25 and I'm usually here way before then. So time to get in and get started. I can see Lily has just arrived as well.
How are you?
Good, thank you. First off, let's go check out with the team their thoughts on some of the challenges children might face around Easter. Hello, Emily.
Hi, Laura.
Does your child enjoy Easter?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does she have any difficulties with Easter?
She is mostly hoping that the Easter Bunny brings her lots of chocolates at the moment,
Yeah.
but a little bit out of routine. There's a lot of excitement going on. Thanks, Laura.
No, my kids don't like Easter. It throws everyone out.
Why does it
Causes
throw
me
everyone out?
major issues.
Tell us a little bit more, Natalie. Why does it throw everybody out?
Because they're not in school.
Because they're not in school. Oh, because they're not in school over the Easter holidays.
So there's no routine.
Yeah.
And it's a special day, and my adopted children can't cope with days that are special days. So they have meltdowns from the minute half term starts all the way up to Easter, and then it's fine the next day.
Do you see any difficulties around Easter eggs or anything else to do with Easter?
Just the excitement around Easter, but not necessarily the Easter eggs or the chocolates and such like.
Hello, Lily.
Hello, Laura.
What types of difficulties do you see at Easter from the kids we support?
Chocolate is the main difficulty. Lots of the children we work with have issues around food, and obviously high sugar items are a very preferred food, and this can create a lot of challenges. Lots of families and friends want to treat the children and buy them lots of lovely treats, but this can cause increased behaviours at home around sharing and other behaviours associated with having consumed a lot of sugar.
Thanks, Lily.
That's okay.
That was great, getting the team's views and perspectives on the challenges children who've experienced trauma might face around Easter. There was a definite difference there between those who were thinking about children who'd experienced trauma and those who weren't. So now I have to come up with the top 5 challenges that children might face around Easter. I'm going to go downstairs back to our therapy space to explore this. Here they are, the top 5 challenges children who've experienced trauma might face around Easter. Challenge number 1 is chocolate overload. As Lily said, many of the children we support have difficulties around food.
Chocolate is the main difficulty. Lots of the children we work with have issues around food.
This can be caused by a history of not receiving enough food. At Easter, this can cause children to feel that they need to eat all of their eggs in one go, so they overload on chocolate, trying to eat them all because they're worried that if they don't eat them all, that food won't be available again. What we know from our experience of supporting children who've experienced trauma is it's not as easy as just saying to them, don't worry, your eggs will be there, you don't have to eat them all now. Often, because of years of trauma from neglect, which we'd call an established history, it can take just as long for children to start to have feelings that food will be available to them all of the time. It takes a long time to replace those feelings that they need to eat everything at once. There are also other factors that can contribute to eating too much chocolate. Children with a trauma history also often have underdeveloped impulse control. This means it can be really difficult for them to refrain from eating chocolate in the first place and then stop eating chocolate when they start because of this underdeveloped impulse control. We also then need to remember that chocolate is full of sugar, and sugar makes us feel good and we naturally want to eat more. These two things combined can make it really difficult for children to refrain from eating chocolate and then stop eating chocolate when they start. Consuming too much chocolate, not being able to stop, resulting in chocolate overload is definitely a challenge that children with a trauma history can face at Easter. And this brings me on to challenge number 2. And I'm going to wander over to our green therapy room to tell you about that. Challenge number 2 is family and friends. Hang on, did you say family and friends are a challenge? You may have missed this when Lily was giving her example, but she mentioned family and friends.
Lots of families and friends want to treat the children and buy them lots of lovely treats, but this can cause increased behaviours at home around sharing and other behaviours associated with having consumed a lot of sugar.
Naturally, family and friends want to treat children, and on special occasions like Easter, they can go all out buying many chocolate Easter eggs. Unfortunately, they don't always have the information to understand that this can actually have an adverse effect and can cause more difficulties at home for parents. Things like chocolate overload that we've already talked about, and some other challenges which I'm going to talk about next. If you have a family member or friend who might buy your child more eggs than they can cope with, why not share this video with them? It might help explain why a smaller amount of eggs might be better for you and your child. Challenge number 3 is Easter egg hunts. Nobody in the team brought up Easter egg hunts, and that surprised me because they can be a real challenge for children with a trauma history. Firstly, they're really anxiety provoking. They require children to find eggs, and this can bring up many thoughts and feelings like, what if I don't find any eggs? What if I'm not capable? I can't do that. If I don't find any, does that mean I won't get any eggs? Many children who've experienced trauma will have anxiety over an Easter egg hunt. We then have to consider other impacts like developmental delay caused by developmental trauma. I've created a whole other video on the complexities of Easter egg hunts using the television programme Peppa Pig and the Easter Egg Hunt, where I analyse it from a trauma perspective. So I won't go into that fully now, but you can check out that video and I'll put a link at the end of this video for you to go and take a look. And that leads me on to challenge 4, and that's one that Natalie brought up. Natalie has lots of experience in this area, and she brought up routine, structure and special days. Their challenge number 4.
There's no routine.
Yeah.
And it's a special day, and my adopted children can't cope with days that are special days.
I'm going to break this down. Children who've experienced trauma thrive off routine and structure. Often they've had no routine and structure in their history, or they've had such traumatic experiences that they don't know when that trauma is going to happen. That means that in the present day, routine and structure is absolutely vital to help them feel safe and secure. It's something they absolutely need. Routine and structure provides reassurance about what their day will look like, what they can expect from adults, and what's expected from them. It provides them with that reassurance that everything is going to be okay. So during the school holidays, things can get really difficult when that routine and structure is not in place and they don't have that reassurance that everything is going to be okay. The school holidays can bring with it lots more anxiety. Special events also bring further anxieties to the situation because children either have expectations or worries about what will happen. Some of our children get really excited, but this can lead to further difficulties around being overstimulated and overexcited. Some of our children will have real difficulty calming themselves, and this can lead to frustration and tantrums, or in some cases aggression as well. The change in routine and structure during the school holidays and adding a special occasion to the mix can be a recipe for disaster. What we need to do is to provide as much predictability as possible by implementing routines and structures, and provide as much reassurance and guidance around any special events like Easter as we can. Always remember, routine, structure, predictability and reassurance are absolutely key for our children who've experienced trauma. Now let's head over to the Book Nook for challenge number 5. Challenge 5 is taking Easter eggs that aren't theirs. I added this one in because it is one that comes up every single year. We're pretty much guaranteed that a parent will approach us and say, I need some help. My child has taken Easter eggs that weren't theirs and they're hoarding them in their room. Or we put Easter eggs away and my child has found them and they've eaten 3, 4, 5 of them before we even knew that they knew where they were. This comes up all of the time, so I wanted to go through it because I think it's an important one. First up, I wanted to highlight that quite often when these things happen, the word stealing is used to refer to what the child has done. So my child has stolen Easter eggs. And for me, stealing is quite a harsh word. It implies there's some thinking behind it, there's some intent there to go and steal an item. And it's not always that way for our children who've experienced trauma. It comes more from a need because of the trauma they've experienced. And if we can think of it more as a need, then we can start to empathise and understand what's going on for them and why this taking of Easter eggs or taking of other food items might happen. And that's the really important thing for children who've experienced trauma. So why might this happen? Well, we can think back to challenge number 1 where we talked about chocolate overload and children eating too much chocolate because of a trauma history of not having enough food. This trauma history can also actually cause them to take food that isn't theirs, and that can include Easter eggs. So it doesn't have to be that they're going into your food cupboard and taking food. They've taken Easter eggs, which is sometimes viewed as more serious, but it's still due to that same trauma history of not having enough food in the past. Secondly, they might have a trauma history of never receiving Easter eggs in the past, or they may have experiences of Easter eggs being taken away from them. And those things can both contribute to them taking eggs in the present, either taking them to hoard or taking them to eat because they think they're going to be taken away or that they're never going to get any. And it can be different things for different children, but it's something that you should bear in mind. Something else to remember is that the trauma history doesn't have to be directly relatable to the present and what's happening now. They could have a trauma history that is directly relatable, like a lack of food or things being taken from them in the past, but it might be other things. It could be things like attachment difficulties or low self-worth that's contributing to them taking Easter eggs now. You really have to consider the whole trauma history of the child and their individual trauma history to fully understand why they would do something like take eggs in the present. The important thing to remember here is if eggs go missing and you suspect it's a child who has a trauma history, don't get too caught up in the fact that the eggs have gone missing. Really try to think about the trauma history and what might have contributed to this. If we can do that, we can really work out how we can support and help our children. That's the top 5 challenges children who've experienced trauma might face at Easter. 1. Chocolate overload. 2. Family and friends. 3. Easter egg hunts. 4. Structure, routines and special events. 5. Taking Easter eggs that aren't theirs. A quick top tip for making Easter as easy as possible is to let those around you know about these challenges too. If they're aware of them, they can avoid them or account for them in their interactions with your child. Don't forget to check out my Peppa Pig video analysing an Easter egg hunt and subscribe to Tribe for more trauma-informed care in practice.